Hey everyone, Ivy Gaming here, and today we're playing Dragonheir Silent Gods. For today's video, I'm going to give you guys a bit of a beginner advice. We're going to talk 15 essential tips every beginner must know. Alright, so you could kind of consider this like a condensed version or quick tip version of the Ultimate Beginner's Guide, where I go into things a little bit more detail. Some stuff I purposefully skipped because it was just too much for one video. I will have separate guides on things like the shops, arena, and so much more, but we gotta get going into it, and I want to give you guys the best little tips and tricks I can as we go along. So that's what we're gonna do today. Let's start off with tip number 1. Servers do matter. When you first open up to join the game, you're going to see the server at the bottom. If you just go in, it's going to default to whatever is there, of course, but you can actually choose your server. You can always click the new server list and see which servers are available. There's also a server invitation link that Alliance leaders can get for the sake of sharing. And yeah, new servers are popping almost every day. So it's really hard to be on the same server as your friends. And just because you have a server invitation link, like I do for the Starlight Challenge Guild on Nytheria 5, doesn't mean Nytheria 5 actually has any spots left. So keep that in mind. When it comes to servers, you have to be on the same server to be in an alliance. That does matter. But you can be friends with anybody, luckily, which also makes the co-op mode of the Outlands Rifts very easy, because you can simply, oops, not here. You can simply do the Outland Rift with your friends. You don't have to, yeah, it doesn't have to be within the server. And yeah, simple enough. Outlands Rift, always do it with other people while we're talking about that, because that's gonna make your rewards better. So if you don't have friends to invite, just pop it up in your in-game chat and others will definitely join you. Alright, so number 2 is, well, there's time gating. So I want to talk about time gating really quick. So you're gonna see that every day you're going to have a level cap. And when it comes to this, it's not you, you're not crazy, don't worry, it's how the game is set up. So I think day 1 level cap is 10. If you grind like a crazy person, go through the story, do all your missions, your commissions, your journal entries for the trials, and yeah, you will get to level 10. If you didn't get to level 10, you missed something. Day 2, the cap is 14. Day 3, it's 16. So there's going to be continued caps, which I need to get a list of. If anybody has that list, let me know. Send me a message on Discord. I don't think I have that list saved from anywhere, what every day's level cap is. I think I should have started that from the beginning, but I kind of forgot, not gonna lie. Yeah, this is a thing in the game, which is honestly kind of nice because it forces you to, like, take a break. But even still, don't be scared off by the, oh god, I hate time gating in games. I have played over 8 hours on the first day and 8 hours on the second day with my free-to-play series account. I have, and that's with the time gating, so there's still plenty of opportunity to play through content. But obviously don't feel like you need to push to the very limits and get to the journey caps every single day. Just play at your own pace and have fun. Eventually you're gonna catch up to the level caps on the days that are really quick. Now there is one day with waiting with the ooze monster, like I think at level 22 or 23, where you can't do anything except accept commissions, do them, and then use your energy. And when you hit that level 23, you can then start ascending your characters, so you can go work in Ascensions, farm Goblin, etc. But you can't actually do any extra story missions, so things like that are gonna happen, but it is just part of the game. So speaking of levels, we should talk about bonding. So Adventure Gathering here in your event tab is where you will bond. Right here you'll see Establish Bond at the bottom, which I've already done that on this account last season, so I can't bond with anybody else. This account is already bonded. When you bond with someone else, you help them get some rewards, and you'll get some rewards as well. So like I can see my bond list that I have multiple people that have bonded with me, and including my Starlight account. And when those people reach level 25, we'll get free Heliolite dye. You want the free stuff, so that's really important. But you need to click Establish Bond before you hit Journey level 6. Then, after you hit Journey level 6, you can hit Quick Share, and you can share your bond code to other people. Now, I have a section in my community Discord, which is always linked in every video, where you guys can share your bond codes and help each other out. Always just scroll around, grab a random bond code, grab a bond code of someone's name you recognize, a friend, whatever. Yeah, try to support the people, help each other, and maybe when your bond code has reached the point where you have people reaching level 25 and you know you'll have 3 of them, delete your bond code from places you've shared, or encourage others to use each other's, because you can only get this 3 times. Now, also around the 6 days idea, I should say 6 days, early start to an account idea, if you join a server on day 1, you're going to have 6 days of resetting heroes. Now, that's going to be the first event that shows when you click the event tab here. You're going to say like the Chaos Clepsydra, and you're going to see reset. And I'm past that on this account now, so you can no longer reset. But take advantage of that. Oh my god, I did not do it the first time I played last season, and I'm going to be very good about doing it every season to come, though. It is so beneficial. Being able to reset your heroes allows you to have flexibility to test synergy. Like, I had a ton of fun. First, I was all in on the idea of Flora and Elfie and Tunnelnon and Erich, and then I changed my mind because I was having trouble farming Goblin with a bunch of single target people. Erich was like my only AoE, plus the Adventurer if I had them in there, and they weren't even part of my team. I was trying to crack it out with my Flora team. Yeah, it's great for Guild Boss, but it might not be good for Goblin. So, with that in mind, like, I reset my team so many times. Plus, the idea of you can reset constantly for those first 6 days. So, if you're about to go farm Goblin, reset at all AoE heroes. Everyone with AoE damage, boom, go farm Goblin. Okay, you're done farming Goblin? Well, now let's go farm the Flame Domain so I could use my Wild and Poison heroes that I love so much, right? Oh wait, that's really hard. You either have to spread out people really well, and or have some cleansers to get rid of the burns. So maybe you add a cleanser to your team, aka someone that dispels debuffs on all allies. That's why Enna is so great, or Ekis, or Ogak, or there's so many people, or a block debuffs like Mithrasia, the legendary. Oh my gosh, she's so good. That is something to consider. Okay, now you're done farming some Flame Domain for the day. Switch your team back and go farm till you're Fire and Poison and go farm the Frost Domain. Like, switch your teams every day if you can. It's totally worth it to be able to grind higher levels more efficiently. And it doesn't take long to quickly re-gear people because, let's be honest, early on, you're not going to have very many gear options. And when you're working with that silver gear, you're going to be putting whatever attack chest you have. It's just going to go because you don't have options. So it's going to be really quick to re-gear your people. You also can create gear plans and have little presets to swap around. DPS number 1, DPS number 2, accuracy, tank, whatever you need. You can make plans for people to be able to pop gear back onto them easily or to swap it around. It's just a really helpful tool. So take advantage of the gear resets. Or the hero resets. It's just such a valuable tool to really kind of choose your team and figure out what synergies you're going to be going for. On the talk of synergies, you guys know this season we have Fire and Poison, Ice and Necrotic, and Radiance and Lightning as synergies. And people are getting way too obsessed with the idea of having to have 5 people of that synergy in order to make a team. But don't think of that for the early game. Honestly, you're going to be better off if you pick a couple, 2 or 3 DPS. One of them could be your Traveler. And then have one really, really amazing support and one really, really amazing tank. If you're extremely lucky, you might have a Mithrasia that can be your support for literally everything. Or if you're extremely lucky, let's just call out our friend Furboth. Or there's Garius. There's some really top tier tanks that can really carry a team no matter what the affinity is. They're going to be helpful. They're going to heal all your allies and be really great. Or if we're talking the more budget friendly, let's go to our girl Hexandra. She can be your healer in every team. Don't worry about what the affinity matchup is. Just make sure your 3 DPS units are part of the same synergy, like fire and poison, and you're good to go. On that note, for your starting roster, once you've use that reset we just talked about, well, you're gonna want to figure out your core team. I would say try to aim for 6 or 7 heroes that you actually choose in the beginning to get all to level 70 and just grind out the potions that way and then start pushing forward. Because you want options. Farming the elemental domains is really hard. So it's probably best to pick like 2 heroes that are of a synergy. If you get really lucky and you have a Voresh, he can be one of those, or one of the swing people because he's good at everything. Let's say you pick 2. You pick Voresh, and you get amazingly lucky as well and get Zarloth, who's one of my favorites, who just does some AoE smash, but doesn't need to be with other summoners. He hits really hard. Him and Voresh, plus the Ice Adventurer, boom, which is DPS. That's one synergy, and who cares what the tank and the other support is. And then pick a second synergy. Okay, I got really lucky. I have, let's say, Tanonan and Flora. There's a couple wild people. Use them with the Fire Adventurer, and then whoever your tank and heal is, yeah, use that for the synergy, and build that core group of not just 5, but 6 or 7 or 8 to have some flexibility. And always have someone on the back burner that's like a cleanser that dispels debuffs for certain content. Kind of think of it that way, and don't obsess about having to have 5. You're gonna benefit more from having people that are really good at their job versus only obsessing about trying to just get this little bit of elemental affinity bonuses in the beginning. Yeah, later on, sure, try to aim for that if you can. But in the beginning especially, you're gonna have a much stronger team and progress faster if you just choose your best options. Alright, tip number 6 we're on to now. Focus AoE heroes for your first choices as DPS. As I said, I had Flora and Tanonan as my first DPSs properly built. And well, let's just say these single target guys are not clearing Goblin very easy. Clearing Goblin should be one of your main focuses, so you want people that can do AoE. The best example is a full board AoE of someone amazing like a Voresh. Let's be honest, he's so great. Or as I mentioned, another epic that's a great option was this my new friend Zarloth. I'm absolutely gonna build him again to synergize with Voresh and the Ice Adventurer, and that can be really helpful. Also switching your Adventurer to Fire or Lightning as AoE, and that can be really great. But if you need a third person for this synergy, just leave them at Ice. They actually hit pretty hard with their battle skill, which is why I always use Statue Manticore for the Adventurer. But try to get AoE heroes as your first options for at least one core team that can farm Goblin, because farming Goblin is how you're going to level everybody up, and you want to be able to do the highest level possible. Now, tip number 7, when you're waking up for the day and you're like, okay, what do I do first? Number 1 thing I would say is if you're full on your stamina here, if you're 120 out of 120, or if you're higher because you overcapped, go do something, anything. The one thing, if you never know what to do, just go farm a Goblin or 2. You can never go wrong with farming Goblin, and that's always going to be needed no matter what. So never be capped on stamina if you can help it. And just like the idea of never being capped on stamina, try to never be capped on arena, which behind me I have 15 out of 15 here, so don't judge me, I'm an arena slacker. I'll try to be better, but for now, I'm a slacker. It is what it is. But I'm gonna try to be better about my arena battles daily so I can actually get some of the really good rewards. Now, you're really going to want to talk to every NPC as you're exploring and pushing through your quests. Like, let's say here, this is my perfect example. Okay, we have a purple dot. This is obvious, right? Okay, we do our purple dot. Cool. Okay, let's begin. Let's get our little side quest going. Whether or not you care about the story, that's up to you. I do suggest it though, it's actually pretty good. I'm guilty that they've changed some stories and I haven't been paying attention, so I might have to on my main. But it's always obvious, right? When you see the purple dot, but it isn't always obvious, is what I want to talk to you guys about. So, you're like, okay, I did that, no more purple dots, I can go. No, wrong. Man in the gray hood, let's see. Oh hey, there's a purple set of communication. This is another side quest that was not marked purple. Boom. Now we have a note there that kickstarts another side quest. Oh, and speaking of talking to NPCs, I did it wrong. Always steal first. Always try to steal first. When you steal, it's really important because that is going to give you so many resources. Plus there's quest items, there's poetry pages, there's maps. There's a lot of things that you might not be able to come back to. Sometimes there's characters just sitting around where you can only steal from them once and you can't actually go back to steal from them again, at least until you go back like X amount of hours later or something. But it just sometimes triggering conversations actually doesn't let you go back to steal. So definitely steal first. All right, tip number 9, purposefully level up a couple of these low-level cooking recipes because there's actually some really strong benefit in the game when talking to NPCs. So, all right, you got some crappy consumables that you're never going to use? Well, let's talk about where you're going to use them. All right, so I finally found one. Some of the NPCs you could steal, you could challenge, you can purchase from their market or if they're a vendor, but you could also send. So this is a really interesting one because a lot of these will say food. So those really crappy consumables, you can do food. I happen to find one that is restoration. So I'm never going to use these low-level, terrible... Can I hold it down? No, I have to click it every time, really. These low-level items, I'm never going to use these. Why would I use them? I don't need them. But let me just do this quicker and also, wait, you know what? We'll save a couple just in case. But I doubt it. But literally, boom. I'm not making these potion things because you can heal your characters just fine. So I don't need them. So why not let him have all my excess materials? So we're going to go friendly with this unit, right? We're going to go friendly and hit send. And when you go friendly, you get rewards. Okay, this was a terrible reward this time. But when they're no longer friendly and you make them friendly again, they give you random rewards. Sometimes they're pretty good. I've gotten some big potions at least. So I think it might depend on the NPC or depend on what you give. I'm not quite sure if it's completely random. But hey, if you're not using the materials anyway, you might as well send and see what you get. And the obvious, as I always say, for tip number 10 here, overexplore. Explore everywhere, click everything, go through every little side thing, go back to cities you've already been to once big things happen. Always, always overexplore. You'll find NPCs to fight, you'll find hidden chests and all sorts of stuff. Ooh, caught a sneeze. Okay. And speaking of that, tip number 11 is mark your map. You're gonna see that I have these level 80. That means there's an NPC to fight that's level 80 or 85 maybe. Level 55, person to fight. Oh wait, I'm way past that now. I could probably beat them. Maybe I go back. Or let's see, there's a duel up here. A tower that I couldn't beat at the time up here. Mark your map. Or even something like where I was at. Let's see, where was right here. The quarry had a bunch of ore. We're gonna need to grab ore later game once you get farming a ton of resources if you're really maxing out events and trying to get as much as possible. You're gonna need an ore and you're gonna need to go refarm it. So to mark the spots where you find big groups of ore for future use, even if you don't really need it right now, but definitely take advantage of your map. Also, you can mention things like I actually marked over here, Lavano had one of my favorite merchants. So I marked over here one of the merchants as well that I know had a ton of great recipe and just consumable crafting items like meat that we always need for everything. So that's a merchant I might go back to daily if I need some extra stuff. And when it comes to exploring, tip number 12, if you're running around and you get to one of those things that's like detection, like there might be something here, and your detection fails, just run back from where you came from and then run back into the area and it'll re-roll until you succeed. and then it'll say like pay attention for treasure and walk around the area until the treasure pops. So just because your first dice roll fails doesn't mean you lost out on that potential treasure. I didn't realize that the first time I played, and I probably missed so many. Alright, quick tip number 13. If you don't know what enlightenment does, what exactly does accuracy versus resistance do, what is skill haste effect, you just click it. Just click over where all the stats are, and you can read exactly how things go. It's pretty nicely laid out in-game to give you good understanding. So that's quick tip there. And kind of on that note, speaking of understanding, tip number 14, click the details of a skill to find out how they scale. So you can see here, okay, she deals fire damage. Modifier attack. So you hit details, 200% fire damage as attack. They show you the multipliers in this game. So if you're literally debating between which heroes you should pick, like, okay, Tanonan and Flora, his ultimate is 160% fire damage. 5 times, though, to the target. That's a lot. Alright, let's see. How is his battle skill? 90% attack to the target 3 times. But then it does more damage based on this. So it's not always cut and dry. Like, if there's more buffs, they do higher damage. This kind of plays a different factor. But it really does give you a way to understand exactly what's happening. Like seeing these massive enlightenment heals from some of these characters, like our lovely Ogak here, or Hexandra. You can see exactly how much those heals are. If you have 2 very similar heroes, that could be the deciding factor on which one to build. And my final tip, 15, tip number 15 for this video, when it comes to the 3 dungeons where you can get your standard gear, I just want to strongly say, always focus the Grave of Venom. No matter what, you're like, but I need accuracy, but I need HP. You're going to get plenty of chests and gloves and whatever that have those stats you need just by farming this anyway. Plus, just because these are damage stats doesn't mean other people can't benefit. For example, which one is it? Let's see. Attack speed. Multiple heroes can take advantage of attack speed, not just a damage dealer. Multiple people can take advantage of enlightenment, not just a damage dealer. And same thing goes for skill haste. Skill haste is amazing to help you come back to your battle skill and your ultimates faster. So sometimes putting these skills, ignoring the fact that it's attack, just because you want the skill haste, can actually be huge. So farming these kind of dungeons to get those type of gear, you don't need to worry about these for the most part. Like sure, end game arena stuff, if you want crazy accuracy, you might grab the accuracy plus skill haste type sets. Or here, this is probably the least important because again, you can very easily take advantage of the bonuses here. But if you're building someone super tanky and you just happen to have a few pieces of defense and HP, you might want to roll with that as well with a couple sets. But don't overly farm it, farm bare minimum to complete an event. And then after that, always just stick to farming the Grave of Venom. But alright guys, this video was a little longer than I intended, but I think we did a good job pointing out a ton of stuff, including some stuff I forgot to mention in my Ultimate Beginner Guide. So hope these tips were helpful, and I'll see you in the next video. Oh, and live on Twitch tonight if you're watching this on Wednesday the 27th. I will be live on Twitch for every Wednesday, for the most part, playing Dragonheir.